Welcome to Push to Pass podcast with JP Murray, a discussion about business, racing, sports, and life. This podcast delivers insights on what makes businesses, teams, and people successful based on real-life business experiences. Following a career with America's largest associations, JP Murray founded the Murray Company, one of Washington, D.C.'s most successful consulting firms. The company was acquired successfully and enabled him to launch JP Murray Racing, a business development and sponsorship agency for auto racing teams. Here is JP.
Hello, today's podcast is about the importance of effort and not taking things for granted. I'll tell you a quick story. When I was in high school, I played 3 sports: football, basketball, and baseball. And for obvious reasons, for those of you that know me, I had numerous disadvantages. In both football, I weighed about 125 pounds, and in basketball, I was about 5'6" with the afro, to take a quote from the movie Fletch. So I had inherent headwinds for sure, but I tried my very best. Now, baseball worked a little bit better because you didn't have to be built like Bryce Harper to get a spot on the team, and there's still a place for the short guy to play. So anyway, I had some success there, and this is what gets me to effort and the need to not take things for granted. There was a time where I was on a pretty good streak my senior year of never getting thrown out stealing. Now, it's not like you can look this up and confirm it, but just trust me for podcast's sake. I was stealing bases and not getting caught. In fact, I was on a streak in my senior year where I'd never been thrown out, and I think it actually went into my junior year. So I was having some success. I wasn't getting caught, and frankly, I was getting on base quite a bit, so I had a nice little streak going. This brings me to Okarche, Oklahoma in the spring of 1983. Beautiful day as I can remember. We're winning the game. I got on base. I'm going to steal second again, and believe me, I had no problem stealing against them, ever. Johnny Bench was not the catcher behind the plate, and if you're from Oklahoma, then Johnny Bench is the standard, right? So I steal, just like always, and I'm thrown out. And I mean, friends, it's not even close. I mean, the shortstop was eating a ham sandwich waiting for me to get to second base. And they really razzed me for it, right? My own team even did. So if you can imagine, the folks that I didn't play against didn't like me too much, so they were really on me. Well, now I'm mad. My streak's broken. I'm upset. And I get on base again, and my goodness, I'm going to steal it. Guess what happens? They throw me out again. So here's the deal. I took this for granted. I took stealing or being able to accomplish something for granted. But what I didn't realize, that when you take something for granted, and then you go, hey, hold on a minute, I want that back. In fact, you might lose it forever. There's a reason I remember this from 40 years ago, and I'm still damaged. Not really, but I learned from it. And in a way, taking things for granted is likely based on some lack of effort if you really think about it. The long-time client that goes away because you didn't pay enough attention to them. The sponsor for your race team doesn't renew because the reason they became involved with you was for one reason, but now their business models change and you didn't stay connected enough to adapt and address their new priorities, and result, they went somewhere else. How about the person that's been a long-time staff member that you just didn't recognize, or you didn't promote enough, or you didn't ask them what was important to them, and they moved on to a new opportunity? And finally, you don't get the results because the fundamentals are missed. And that's what I'm talking about here, whether it's fundamentals of communication or fundamentals in action. Softball players hate hitting off the tee, but it's the one thing that can probably keep them out of a slump. So the takeaway here today is this. Think about the relationship, the sponsor, the client, the friend, the member of your team, the family member. When is the last time you put some effort into that relationship? When did you make a deposit, figuratively, into their account? And you had that little feeling in your stomach that you might be taking something for granted. It's pulling at you, and you know it. So don't take it for granted, and don't wait until tomorrow to do something about it. We'll see you next week on the Push to Pass podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Push to Pass podcast with JP Murray, a discussion about business, racing, sports, and life. If you would like to sponsor Push to Pass, send an email to jp@jpmurray.com. Follow JP on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. His website is jpmurray.com. Until next time, push yourself to pass the competition. Thanks for listening.